Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Cucchiara.
Welcome in, Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you again for all those that are continuing to download the podcast, listen to the podcast, and give us your feedback. I also appreciate those that continue to share the podcast. I know we get a lot of that. And usually during the week, I do get several emails and some phone calls about some of the topics we have, and some questions usually about the different topics and the guests I have. So just a reminder before I bring my guest on today, the focus of my podcast, the radio show, which started, almost 12 years ago, is education and information. So I really work hard to stay on that theme. And so what I mean by that is we will try to have shows and work really hard to have guests, content, information to educate and inform the consumer to make you a more wise consumer in and around not only your real estate, the way you navigate real estate, buy and sell and finance, but also, as I mentioned before, we talk about financial planning, tax planning, construction, remodeling, all kinds of different things here on the show. So again, just a reminder, my primary business is mortgage. I'm always here. We have a network of people that we work with. I'll remind people as we get started again, if you need any mortgage advice in the way of purchase, refinance, and restructuring, I'm here to do that for you. Also, if you're looking for referrals, real estate agents who could help you buy, sell a home, financial planners to help you navigate your retirement, your wealth building activities, CPAs, any of that, we have a wealth of people here to help you. All right, so let's jump in, and I'm excited to have my guest on the show. It's been a while, but my longtime friend, Jeff Yoakum, who's a financial planner, we're going to introduce him today and get him started. Jeff, it's good to have you back.
Hey, Joe, good to talk to you. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
It's been a while, and I'm reminding my guests, just in full candid, as I always am, is that I am back doing the podcast on a regular basis. We took a bit of a hiatus. We were doing it more limited, but it's exciting to be back, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback. So welcome back in.
Great.
So before we get started, Jeff, give our listeners a little idea of your background, what you do, and then we'll get into some of these exciting topics we want to share with them today.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I've been in the industry, Joe, about 30 years. Truly love what I do. I've worked for large and small financial firms, and this has given me ample insights and a rich understanding of a variety of financial situations that people find themselves in, both good and bad. So I've seen it all. I've seen the chaos. I've seen engineers that are well planned and well thought through, and maybe it's time to pass the baton. As for my practice, I started my own practice about 12 years ago, and I have a great set of families that I serve. That's kind of it in general. I can get more specific in a second.
Well, we're going to talk about more specifics for sure. So the Yoakum Wealth Management Group, you help clients, families. Do you look for a specific? I mean, I know there's all different types of models and what people look for. What would be maybe I'm not sure if it's fair, an ideal candidate or someone you look for to try to help them in their planning services?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've got a variety of clients. I have attorneys, I have CPAs, doctors, I have librarians and teachers. The gamut's pretty huge. Typically, it's a family that have amassed $500,000 or more, and then it goes into the multi-millions. But it's typically people that are beyond do-it-yourselfers, people that say, I do need some help. I do need someone that I could trust to help me work through my issues.
Yeah. I'm guessing, Jeff, there's all kinds of questions that come up in initial consultations and when people work with you. Or give us kind of an idea. I'm guessing, they want to know about retirement, tax savings, planning for the future, college education, things like that. What are some of the questions you typically get from your clients or prospective clients?
Oh, yeah, that's a great starting point with that. So, I like to look through the vision of the prospective client and kind of where they're framing things. So typically what I hear from a prospective client is, I'm looking for an advisor who'll take the time to get to know me and my family and will help bring kind of clarity from chaos. Or I might hear someone else say, I need an advisor who is proactive, who's going to call me and simply have a talk about my situation or offer some ideas that I may want to consider. Or I might have someone say, I need an advisor who's going to pay attention to all the details because I have a super busy life and I'm going to need someone to help me follow through on some of the outstanding items that they might have neglected. And then fourth, and pretty common, I hear people who are recently retired and now are deciding and looking at their next passage in terms of, do I downsize? Can I consolidate investments that I have? Can I get rid of various things that I've procured, insurance or whatever that may be, and kind of just bring some peace of mind to where they are? And those are the kind of clients that I resonate with. My clients know that when they call me, I'm going to immediately recognize their voice. And then my brain's going to activate and I'm going to begin to recall their specific fact pattern and what's important to them, what their preferences are. And this stems from the fact that, I am truly a boutique firm. I serve about 35, 40 families, and I can give them the attention that they deserve.
Great. Perfect. Well, we're going to dive in and talk about Roth IRAs, which is super exciting. And before I do that, though, I just want to have you speak to a little bit about how early and how important how important it is to start investing and saving early. I mean, I've shared this with my girls ever since they can understand anything about money. And I think I've had some kind of results, but I guess just speak to the fact, Jeff, how important it is. Many of us are so short-sighted. We want instant gratification. A lot of us have a difficult time when we're, say, in our early 20s, having this idea that if you start now just on a small base, it's amazing what type of wealth, retirement, savings you could have over a 20, 30, 40-year period. So maybe before we jump into Roth, maybe give the message. Let's hope that we have a 20-something out there or even a 30-something out there listening, and we have a pretty diverse demographic. But explain a little bit how important it is, and you're the expert here, of investing and saving as early as you can.
Yeah, wow, that's a great question. We could have our children or relatives start at, let's just say 5 or 7 as soon as they can grasp some basic concepts. And, now with the advent of, you could buy partial shares of stocks, you could start investing, I think for as little as $100 at most financial firms. And if the children want to invest in Google because they're searching, or maybe it's Facebook Meta, things that maybe it's Disney or Nike, but just get them involved at a young age, have them focus on this concept and think through and watch it grow over the years. They're going to be amazed. I'm going to go through later some scenarios where you're going to see some compounding effect of how money does grow. And if you could show them some of those graphics, maybe when they're 10 or 12, I think you can get a lot of kids pumped up to get started at 10. And if not, then, have the same conversation similarly with someone in their early 20s.
Great. That's a perfect segue into Roth IRAs. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about the Roth, the benefits of the Roth, and then I know we want to discuss how important it is for young ones as well.
Sure. Yeah. So what I really want to talk about today is something that's really nuanced. So all of us, for the most part, maybe there might be some restrictions based upon income, but most of us can open up a Roth IRA. But I want to focus today on Roth IRA for children, for those that are under 18 years old. Kind of what, speaking to your earlier question, isn't it smart to teach our younger generation the valuable lessons of hard work, whatever that may be, saving money and investing money, potentially for an early retirement? And with the Roth IRA for minors, you could do just that for up to $7,000 a year in the year 2024. If you're filing taxes now, and maybe children, we'll go through some of this in a sec, but if it warrants, you could do $6,500 in a Roth IRA for a child. So, what I typically hear from parents is, come on, Jeff, it's such a small amount of money. My kids earned some money mowing some lawns, but it's only $2,000, or maybe it's $7,000, but let's say it's $7,000. And I will ask the question, what do you think $7,000 will grow to if you allow that to be invested in the stock market? Let's just say at an average of 9%. And let's say they start that at 15 years old, and then they continue to hold that 7,000 invested for 50 years. How much would you have? Joseph, do you want to take a stab at that question? How much do you think they'd have?
So 7,000 and starting at age 15. and they're going to let that grow for, did you say 40 or 50 years?
50 years till they're 65. Yep.
50 years. So no additional contributions, just that original investment compounding.
Well, good. You go, Joe. That's right.
Oh gosh, I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. 1.2 million? I
That's
don't
pretty
know.
good. All right. So a lot of people would say 100 to 200,000.
Yeah.
It's over $500,000.
Oh, well, I was way off.
Yeah, but you're probably not going to be way off on the second one. So
Oh,
what if the
okay.
same young person says, I kind of like this, and I'm going to put in $7,000 for the next 50 years, not just one time, but for the next 50 years. How much will they have amassed, again, in the stock market, 9% for those 50 years?
So if they just put the 7,000 in one more time,
Mm,
or every
no,
single year?
every single year. Yeah.
Oh, every single year. Oh my gosh. Well, then, yeah, that has to be maybe close to 2 million. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's 6 million, almost 6.2
Whoa,
million.
whoa, whoa,
Yeah. Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
and
wow.
and wait, if it's 50-year averages and it's 9.5%, that compounding, just that subtle difference of a 0.5% is $7.4 million.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this is I think that obviously you do a good job at it, but if we could only get this, somehow, I've said for years, and I know you would probably echo it, Jeff, but I think that there's a few things that school and our education system is missing and losing out on, and that is teaching finances early on.
Mm.
I know they teach basic math, I get that, but I'm talking about investing, checking account, writing bills, interest
Budgeting.
rates, right, budgeting, all those
Yeah.
types of things. And
Yeah.
guess, by the way, I don't want to get sideways here, but I think the latest statistics show that one of the biggest causes for divorce and family issues is finances.
That's
So
true.
that just tells us how important it is, but yet, we don't really start that early. And so that's why people need someone like Jeff Yoakum to get them going. So the Roth is an incredible product. You're saying it's really for anyone potentially, but the earlier the better.
So how this works is that, let's just say they're 10 years old, they're going to be the beneficial owner of the account. Their parent or custodian needs to open up the account, right? And you're going to have this custodian open the account, make the decisions, make the contributions and the investments, right? But isn't that a great teachable moment if that child is involved in any or all those decisions?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then at age 18 in California, they become the beneficial owner of that account, and it converts to a regular Roth IRA for their benefit. So,
Got it. They can start as early, pretty darn early. Typically, it's you would invest that during the course of the year, once a year. Or is there a better way, or just a certain amount each year you would advocate?
you could dollar cost average. Let's say you had $6,000 and you could put in $500 a month into that based upon where the market is. But, white papers show that if you just go ahead and invest the money overall, that you're best not to try to time the market and use time on your side as leverage to help you. So go all in and be done with it for the most part. It's not a lot of money, right, on a relative basis. So,
Got it.
yeah.
What are the general rules of the Roth and the custodial? I mean, I know that there's some parameters. Sometimes people get confused.
Yeah.
Income levels. Once you make a certain amount, you can no longer invest. Share us a little bit about an insight on that.
Sure. Yeah. So the IRS defines earned income as wages, salaries, tips, and other taxable employee compensation, right?
Okay.
But there aren't many kids that earn the formal kind of W-2 income or even 1099 income, right? It's typically going to be more probable self-employment gigs, babysitting, dog walking, yard work, those things. And believe it or not, infants can qualify for earned income also, such as modeling. So I remember my son was modeled for Disney, Nordstrom, Macy's, and
Really? Oh,
he earned a good amount of money.
wow.
For the advent of Roth IRA, so we put it into the 529 plan. But if you've got a 6-month or 3-year-old boy or girl, it's a great way to start investing for them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. So that's a good time.
Yeah.
Earlier the better, obviously, and then often.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So the rules, it's like chocolate cake, right? But let's go through some of the rules. So
Yeah.
contribution limits. So again, $7,000 is the maximum, or the total earned income, whichever is less. So, for an example, got a child that earns $4,000 mowing lawns and other things. They can contribute $4,000 to the Roth IRA.
Mm.
Now, I've heard of parents trading chores for money and having that qualifies income. So, you got kids at home and you want to incentivize them. You could do this. Just, you either read the tax laws on that or consult your tax advisor. But it can be done. I haven't done it myself, but it can be done. The tax implications is, this is with after-tax dollars. So when you're ready to withdraw, let's say during retirement, if you need to withdraw, right, you won't pay any tax on that money. So that doesn't say Congress may in the future change the tax laws, but for now, as long as you follow the rules, that money is yours and it's tax-free.
Yeah.
So as it relates to withdrawals, let's say you've had the account for 5 years.
Okay.
You need the money for whatever reason. You could withdraw your principal amount. So in the above example is $4,000. And let's say there's a need in the family. You could withdraw that $4,000 without penalty. As it relates to distributions, if it's earned money, right, and interest and dividends and capital gains, now those might have a tax. So you have to be thoughtful of that.
Interesting. No, I didn't know that. So let's just say, for sake of example, you have a $20,000 principal. Are you saying the principal amount, you can borrow that or take that out without penalty? You just have to be careful. Any interest, earned investment, all that does not apply. That's different.
Exactly.
Interesting. Would you say I mean, I know there's a lot of great investment vehicles. Would you say that's one of the best still there is in general, or is it depending on the age, the person, or no matter what, you're still an advocate of the Roth IRA?
Yeah, I think it is the best thing. 529s, if the child's headed off to college, is a great way also, especially for wealthy people that can preload it by 5 years and put in a lot of money initially. But yes, for the kind of average, let's get started for most of us or whoever, the Roth IRA is, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Yes,
Very good.
Yeah. Why don't I go over kind of the benefits of just a few that will probably tie this in.
Yeah.
So, most of us work about 40 years, right? So if this is going to compound for those 40 years, if not 60 years, 70 years, if someone's going to live to 85, 90, you're going to get the tax-free growth of that money and the compound of that. It's almost like a snowball going down the mountain, and it turns into this big snow boulder of money over the years, as we looked at earlier with that $6 million example. You're going to get higher rate of returns. Most parents, we're busy and we put the money into a savings account or money market account with the intention of doing something more with it, right? As you get annual gifts, and before you know it, you have in whatever, 2,000 or 20,000 or more dollars in there. And it's in the savings account getting, today, if you're lucky, right, 3%.
Right.
Whereas 2 years ago, that was almost 0%.
Right.
And compare that, let's just say 3 if you're lucky, compare that to a 9% rate of return. That's 300% more that you're earning by getting the money and being active with it. Plus, children, if they're earning money, let's say that $4,000 mowing lawns, they're not paying any taxes on that money at all, right? Because they don't make enough money, so they're getting that money all in at 100% tax free. And then as they get older and they're in higher brackets, if they need money coming out of the Roth, it's coming out tax free. So you're winning on both sides.
That's great. Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit here, although we'll wrap things up as we do. But just anything, and I'll give Jeff's information out during, at the end of the show as we wrap things up too. But Jeff Yoakum, interviewing him today, is a certified financial planner with Yoakum Wealth Management. I'll give his information out as we get towards the end. Let's talk a little bit, Jeff, now about, asset location. Most people think of asset allocation. And it's interesting when I saw that too, when you want to discuss that. So tell us a little bit about those two and then the difference.
Sure. Well, Joe, given that your world evolves around real estate, that those three famous words, location. And when you're investing your money, the same wisdom also apply.
Okay.
Right. When you put your investments in, you want to first look at the type of account you're going to choose, right? And then you're going to say, okay, I have the account set up. Now I want to take the investments, because the investments are subject to different rules, as are different types of accounts have different tax treatments. And it's kind of a puzzle, and we'll go through this in detail, but you want to sort them and put them together where they're most efficient. And some people say tax location, some people say tax efficient, and they're very similar. So that's what I'm alluding to. So most of us, you start with the asset allocation. So you look at your goals, your financial situation, your risk tolerance, and the investment horizon, and then you determine the asset allocation. And let's just say that turns out to be 70% in equities, 30% in bonds. There you go, you're set. The asset location is worth considering because it's going to improve the after-tax returns of the portfolios. And that's what I'm looking at. Yeah. There are three types.
Yeah. Go into the three types. That'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, for all of us, typically we're going to have a taxable account. So you may call that a brokerage account, you may call it your living trust, or an individual account. Some people, my clients call them individual accounts. But regardless, you're going to hold your securities, whether they be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. Now, in this taxable account, they are taxed when you earn dividends, interest, and capital gains. So that's number one. Number two, we're all aware of the tax deferred accounts, right? Your traditional 401k, your 403bs, your IRAs. And these allow payment of taxes to be deferred until the money's withdrawn. So we're all pretty familiar with that. Now, the kicker is that when the money's withdrawn in these, they're going to pay your ordinary income tax brackets. And they're as high as 37% this year, and projected to potentially go higher in the next couple of years, up to 39 on a federal basis. So, and then state could be as high as 13%. So you really want to be aware of those assets and where you're positioning them. The third is the tax exempt account, right? That's the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, and the Roth 403b. These require contributions to be made with after-tax dollars, but do not provide a tax deduction up front. Right? But they do allow you to avoid further taxation. So this money grows, again, for the next 50, 70 years, tax-free, and it's yours. So what I like to see with clients is that they have all three buckets, right? Each kind. But I got to tell you that, so there's 330 million people in the United States, and only about 30 million people have Roths of some sort, which means only 10% of the population have them. So it's very common to see taxable accounts and tax deferred accounts, as kind of FYI.
Yeah.
So given that we only have so much time, what I'd like to do is take the second and third accounts, the tax deferred and the tax exempt, and say that they're similar. They're not the same, but they're similar. And let's lump them, as it relates to which investments, into the same bucket. And we could still get home with that. So if that works.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's take a look. So where do you place each asset type? All right. So for taxable accounts, hopefully the listeners have pen and paper. They're not in their cars, but you want to hold your municipal bonds. You want to hold either individual bonds or your bond mutual funds or your municipal bond ETFs. You want to put them in the taxable account for obvious reasons, right? You want to hold your individual stocks. And those are the stocks that you plan to keep for 1 year and beyond. So if you're trading stocks, then no, you don't want to have them inside this account. It's those that you really find precious and that work for your portfolio. Hold the individual stocks in this one. And then there's, some people know about this. Some of my clients know about it. There's what's called tax advantage funds or tax efficient funds. And that's where they're investing the money, but they're trying to keep taxes from negatively affecting the after-tax performance. So they're trying to be thoughtful on how much tax you pay.
Got it.
That's where you want to put the taxable. The tax deferred and tax exempt, you're going to want to hold all the other individual bonds, right? So these are corporate bonds, treasury bonds, mortgage-backed securities, those kinds of bonds, everything except the muni bonds. and then high dividend paying stocks. So think of a utility stock that you might own that's maybe paying a dividend yield of 4, 5, 6%. You want to hold that again in your tax deferred or tax exempt account. And then things like REITs, real estate investment trust. These are investments that have to pay out 90% of their taxable income to investors. So all those things that are really highly tax sensitive, you want to make sure that you place them into these types of accounts.
Got it.
And then what's interesting is that I'm going to kind of be provocative here, is that
Please do.
if you have someone that has high income and maybe higher assets, and so they're going to retire and with, just millions of dollars, it doesn't have to be tens of millions, but millions of dollars. And so what's going to happen is if you combine Social Security income, portfolio income, pension income, right? Those things, you're going to be pushed into a higher bracket so that when age 73 comes around and you take your money out, that's going to be taxed at the highest federal tax rate. So why not have your slower growth assets, which are your bond-like things, in your IRA, so that that doesn't happen, and then push your high growth things into your taxable account, because you could run that and be efficient, right? If you have a long-term capital gain, you take that at 20% versus 37% if it's short-term gain. So you could really, most of us are wired to say, let's get major growth out of the IRA.
Yeah, right.
It's part of our wiring, but there are tax implications if you do it that way. So it's something to be thoughtful of.
Very good. That's great. We have just a few more minutes. Before we finish up, Jeff, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about real estate in terms of investment strategies. Obviously, that's what I delve into with financing real estate. I've done a number of different things. What is your overall view? I guess, I don't want to assume, but when you're looking at portfolios and you're helping clients, create wealth and plan for the future, my guess is real estate is such a big piece now that we never thought maybe 40, 50 years ago that it would be, but it has become that. Do you see that trend continue? In other words, is this people seem to be more and more attracted to, investing in real estate, holding real estate, transferring wealth? What is kind of your view in general of that? Do you think much of it will stay the same, or anything might change in the order of real estate?
Yeah. I really like to see clients when I meet with them, and let's say it doesn't matter the number, but let's say they have a $10 million net worth. Right. I really hope that 5 million of that is in real estate, California real estate or New York real estate, because that's where you're going to get the compounding effect of growth rates of 6% or so. And if you leverage that, use the bank's money, you're going to make a lot of money. I've seen a lot of money made in real estate, or of course in like IPOs, but real estate is a very fine way. And I've said this, you could ask any of my clients. It's just because I'm not trying to be nice to you, Joe, but I firmly believe that.
No. I do too. I see it all the time too. Is there a situation, or is there a case, I shouldn't say case, but you see a point sometimes, Jeff, where maybe whether it's when they get older, depending on their profile, divorce, I don't know, there's all kinds of different, but do you see a case where you would say, you know what, it maybe is not necessarily the best thing for you to have own real estate right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
is there any situation like that?
Yeah, I'm working with the lady in Los Altos Hills, and she's above 80, and she's just tired, and she's by herself, of all the upkeep. And while, to be honest, I said to her, and she's actually in her early 90s, and I said, it would be best if you kept the house, moved out of it, rented the house, take that income, and use that income to live wherever you want to live. And therefore, when you do pass, that property gets a step up in basis, and you're going to save $1 million today. And she was still so set on, no, it's time for me to leave. So yeah, there are times when it does make sense. But you got the issue of property management and some of those issues that I see. So there are situations, and I was hoping to convince her just to keep the property. And you got to know that if she kept that property, that means she's not selling. That means I'm not investing that money, the proceeds.
Right.
but I always do what's best for her. But I was hoping to walk out that day and for her to go, "Yep, I'm going to rent the house and just take the in."
Very good. Well, as we
Yeah,
wrap things up, but again, it's been a great visit with Jeff. It's been a while. It's great having back. Jeff Yoakum is a certified financial planner with the Yoakum Wealth Management. And I will let Jeff, before we go, remind us or remind anybody that's listening, if they want your advice or want to consider working with you or just really want to pick your brain about some of the topics we have today, what's the best way to reach you?
I appreciate that. Yeah. Office number 650-474-5544. My website is 𝗥𝗲𝗋𝗡.com. So YOAKUM.𝗥𝗲𝗋𝗡.com. Visit the website and schedule an appointment. Love to talk to you, see if I can lend a hand.
Very
Appreciate it.
good. Yeah, Jeff, thanks again for your time. It's always valuable. And I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people who get a lot of good information from this, as they always do, but appreciate your wealth of knowledge, and we will have you back soon.
Sounds good, Jeff. Have a great
All
day.
right. Yeah, take care, Jeff. This is Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you again for tuning in, and thank you, Mr. Jeff Yoakum, for his excellent advice today on financial planning. For more information, you can reach me, Joe, at 𝗪𝗡𝗙radiolive.com. That is Joe at 𝗪𝗡𝗙radiolive.com, or you could always text or call me, area code 408-838-9060. Take care until next time.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit 𝗪𝗡𝗙radiolive.com. That's 𝗪𝗡𝗙radiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at 𝗪𝗡𝗙radiolive.com.